Yes, hello today. Look, as you can see, we have a little bit of a different video, but it is just cue the intro.
Welcome to my channel, where cringy intros are cringy.
Alright, so, like I said, it's a bit different. We are doing an Is It Worth It video, however, we're changing the way that we look at this, at essentially this unit. We're not going to look at it in whether you should do it or not. We're going to look at it, is it even worth running? So, to do that, we are going to compare him amongst the Titans of God Key to try to get an idea of, is this guy actually worth running, or is he just really just there for the CC? So, let's actually first discuss his kit, because I think discussing his kit is extremely important. So, overall, if we were to display maximum stats, so this is ZENKAI 7, 14 stars, which a lot of people will have. If you do not have him at 14 stars, do not fret. We are going just get him up to 7 stars, which this event will give it to you to 7 stars, so do not worry about that. Really, your job from here on out is just to ZENKAI him if he is worth it, and you still should ZENKAI him because you want the CC, so do that. But let's take a look. So, overall stats, you might be thinking, stats matter, and to a degree, yes, but stats don't really matter if you don't have the extra backing to back it up, and if you don't have the proper synergetic team to back it up. So those all play a, well, big part in all of this. Also, looking at the arts cards that this guy holds in his hand could also be an indicator of whether or not he's actually worth running. So, straight off the bat, he's a range type, but he's holding a strike arts card. This is not a good thing. You do not like that. If you are a range type and you're playing him on a range type team, you're going to want to have 2 blasts in your hand. You do not want to have strikes in your hand. That's a bad thing. So, already straight off the bat, he's a 50-50 unit. That's not good. His defenses are also pretty lackluster, so that's kind of sad. However, at the same time, at least if you pair him up with Vados, she can heal him quite a bit over time, and, you know, having other units that can help boost him definitely helps as well. So pairing him up with his other counterpart, his ZENKAI 7 Green Beerus, could be something. Alternatively, though, I wouldn't do that since Vados is also green, and Vados is way better. Alright, let's talk about just some of the card arts. We're not going to talk about Strike or Blast, doesn't matter. Let's look at the blue card. So his blue card does destroy 2 enemy cards. That's nice. It also deals major explode damage. This is better than impact damage, so just be aware of that. Impact, pierce, and explode. There's multiple different types depending on the type it is. A certain amount of damage and how much defense is actually applied to that damage is also applied. It's a whole big thing. Maybe we'll go into it in a video, but not today. Alright, unlock form, key of attack. Form of attack. I can't speak today. Restore, can't read. Both. Restore zone key by 40, and then 25% to damage inflicted 15 timer counts. We like green cards that boost. However, at the same time, this green card does pretty much, it's pretty basic. It's not a bad basic, it's just, it could be doing more for a basic green. Does it let you continue combos if you don't have enough key? Yes. But does it really do anything beyond just give you key and a little bit of extra damage? No, that's pretty much it. Not much to talk about or write home there. All right, let's talk about his main ability, Destructive Intimidation. I almost said imitation. All right, so we get 35% damage inflicted for a certain amount of timer counts. We also get inflicts all enemies with attribute downgrade plus 25% damage received for 20 timer counts, and 15 timer counts must elapse for this to activate. If you pair this up with Vados or even Whis, essentially, he becomes a nuke for those next 20 timer counts, which, yeah, if you're using his blast card, he's a nuke, even when he wasn't ZENKAI. And I'm not saying that even as a nuke, he was good. What I'm saying is his damage was actually respectable, if not stellar. So, I can only imagine with his ZENKAI stats, this ability is going to be quite insane as long as he's uninterrupted. But as we all know in this type of meta, uninterruption, good luck. You're going to get interrupted in some fashion unless your opponent likes to lose. So yeah. Alright, let's talk about his ZENKAI ability, or Z ability, better to say. So he gets 35% attack, God Key base blast attack during battle. So this is only a single buff. Now, you might be thinking, but it's 35%. That's pretty good. Yes. But there are units out there, even now, that have double buffs that at max stars are like at 38%. to 35, and they're double buffs. So if you think of it from that perspective, a single buff of this caliber is quite bad. So that's already another thing that is not so good about this unit. Then we look at the ZENKAI ability 4. So he buffs yellow and extreme. So essentially himself, base blast attack and base blast defense, and that is it. He doesn't do your other 2 stats, so he's quite lopsided in regards to what he does. However, okay, that's fine, except the fact of the matter is, you can't even really use this guy as a bench buffer for any other God Key unit that is not a yellow extreme. So, not much to write home about. Alright, let's talk about his abilities. So we're going to just open them all up. And then we're going to go back. Okay, so Pride Blast Attack up. Blast damage inflicted increases according to the number of timer counts. It's up to 60%. So if you get to 10 timer counts, him being on the board, he gets plus 60% to blast damage. And then he will remove all of those buffs the moment you switch him out. Let's be real. The chances of you actually using this guy and keeping him on the board and dominating your opponent, you must be a way better player, and it must be your day that day when you do that. Because unfortunately, the majority of players will not be able to reach that 60%. So, if you can, great. If you're last man standing, because he's your last unit alive, then this is not bad. However, again, this isn't great. It's nothing amazing. Alright, let's talk about Destruction God's Fury. While this character is on the battlefield, apply the following effect to itself every time the enemy uses a strike or blast. So you increase your damage by 20% each time they do that, and you also reduce the damage you would receive by 10% for 5 timer counts. And these are all stackable, so this is nice. It just basically further adds to if this guy's a last man standing and you are in a dire situation, you have a lot of health, this can come in clutch. If you don't have a lot of health, this is kind of irrelevant, and chances are you're still going to die. Let's talk about Uncountable Attack. Following effects occur when this character enters the battlefield, so you draw a Blast Arts card. You restore own key by 30, seal enemies' strike arts, and the sealed arts cannot be used for 3 timer counts. This is actually pretty good, surprisingly. And this is also his ZENKAI 3 ability. So, let's actually talk about this, because I get a little bit of Majin Buu Good vibes, but not a lot. It's kind of like a mixture of Super Saiyan 3 Purple ZENKAI Goku, along with the Majin Buu Good. Majin Buu Good applied the Sealed Arts card, and then the Goku applied the Draw a Strike and Key. It's kind of like you took those 2 aspects of those 2 kits, put them together, and put it on Beerus as a blast-based unit. Solid, actually. I actually genuinely like this. It means that he can be a combo finisher, he can be a combo extender, he could just be a defensive, give yourself some breathing space type of unit, especially if you're up against a strike-based team. Just pop them in there, take a breather, because you're going to need it. Alright, so not bad. And then the final one is Awaken Destruction. Applies the following effects to self when battle starts. So he gives himself a base damage of 40%, which cannot be cancelled, and he also gives him a reduction of damage received by 20%, which also cannot be cancelled. So it's just some generic stuff. So overall, how good is this character? Well, I would say that if you don't have any better yellow God Key unit, then he is by far your best free-to-play option. However, if you are a blast-based God Key player and you are using this guy, I have to wonder if it's actually worth it. Only because his strike damage isn't great, and we gotta now compare him to Champa and Evo Vegeta, as those two are essentially what he has to compete against to see if he's even worth running at that point. So we're gonna compare with Champa. We're gonna put him at display max, because I just want to see this guy's ZENKAI ability. So as you can see, he's 35%, so just as good in terms of percentage as the other Beerus. And yet, look at this. It's strike and blast attack during battle. That's what I'm saying. Your Z abilities do matter. So this is already +1 point to Champa versus no point for Beerus, okay? This guy also has a solid green card that can reduce a Dragon Ball by 3 times when you hit it with this. I don't know if a lot of people knew that, but if you didn't, now you know. Can cancel enemies' attribute upgrades once, and also can increase how much damage they receive by 30%. So similar, if not actually a little better than the guy's main ability, the other Beerus, the Beerus's main ability. Plus, this guy immobilizes, which is kind of like Feint, but not the same. And then we got a blue card that increases the damage. It's also massive explode damage. And yeah, I don't know what else to say about that. His main ability heals himself, so there's that. And he also nullifies his own unfavorable element factors for 20 hammer counts and destroys cards. I mean, just looking at this guy, he already does a lot for his team. Like, as you can see, it's a textbook. He's a textbook. And he's not even considered to be the best yellow blast-based God Key unit that you could use. In fact, here's another one. Legends Limited Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan Evolved Vegeta, or as we all call him, Evo Vegeta, or Evo Vegetes for short. So, let's take a look at this guy. He's got a Final Flash, which, when he uses this, he nullifies any element disadvantage he has for 3 timer counts. He also seals enemies' blasts on hit, and he seals arts, and the arts cannot be used for 5 timer counts. So, similar to what Beerus does, except you gotta land a blue. You also got a green card that heals him, that increases his damage, that draws him a new card, it reduces the damage that he takes. And then he's also got an ult that you can get from his main ability, and I'm sure it has blast armor. Plus, it just nullifies any health that restores from 0 to whatever if it's an endurance unit. So there you go. Then you have this main ability, which is just some giant wall of text. Basically, the long of short of this is you draw an alt card, you basically heal yourself, you increase your damage, you just say, ka-chow, your opponent cannot cover change and can't disrupt you, so you just go ham on them, okay? Let's take a look at his Z ability. So 32%, if we were to display him at 14, now most people won't have him there, but even at 6, he was like 32. At 14, he's at 35, and he's blast attack and strike defense, which is, again, better than the Beerus. Actually, even if we were to undo that and have him at my stars, which is 4, this guy is 28% to both stats, which is still better overall than 135. Just 135. All right? And then we have Shattering through the limits. So we're just looking at this. Base of 90% increase in damage, reduction by 30. He applies ki to himself if you have a certain amount of ki left or lower. Restores ki by 20 and then also increases the damage. Also, if he kills a revive unit, he gets to do more BS, essentially. Including, fun fact, unfavorable element factors are nullified. So, red units, beware. And then we got Sparking Power. He essentially randomly draws a special move arts card when he cover changes by destroying a card. And then you can chain that blue card to his cover change if they threw a blast. And then ka-chow, remember, nullifies element disadvantage, meaning if they throw in a red, even though you've done a blue card, you're going to deal them for the neutral damage that he's supposed to. Okay? And then on top of that, if they switch on the battlefield while you're attacking them, or just in general, you'll draw a new card if you have 3 cards or fewer, plus increasing your damage. Essentially, I gotta put it this quite plain and simple. Is Beerus worth it over these two? No, absolutely not. There's more utility in Champa, there's more utility in Evo Vegeta. Beerus himself is an okay free-to-play unit, but that's essentially it. If you want to run him to try him out, by all means, do it. If you have no better blast-based yellow God Key unit, by all means, run this God Key Beerus. I'm not saying he's a bad unit. I'm just saying if you were to compare him to what the meta standards are currently, he is definitely an underwhelming unit. However, he can definitely put in work. He is not garbage. He's just what I would say not exactly tierable as of yet. Meaning, chances are he's not going to be tierable, and he is essentially just going to be that unit that is there. Is that a bad thing? Not really. He's free. So, let's take him as he is. He's a unit that just unfortunately won't see much play unless that person doesn't have anything better. But that's my overview, my outlook on this Beerus. Essentially, despite him having 4 different passives, Champa's 2 passives, and Evo Vegeta's 2 passives just outshine him. And it's sad, but that's what it is. So with that being said, guys, that's the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please don't hesitate to tickle the like button if you haven't already subscribed. and click at the bell for notificaciones so you never miss another of my videos. Have yourselves a salty day, and I will see you in the next video.
Thanks for stopping by. Hope you had a time, Phil G. Phil G.